What if I told you there's a bridge so incredibly tall that standing at the canyon floor makes the cars above look like they're floating among the clouds? What if I told you that to make this bridge possible, China actually carved straight through an entire mountain? And what if I told you the bridge itself was just one piece of a much bigger plan? This is the story of the tallest bridge on the planet. By the time this video ends, you'll see exactly why China invested around $300 million into a project that sounds almost unbelievable: the mountain barrier. Let's head to Guizhou province in China. Locals have passed down a saying for generations: there aren't even 3 feet of flat ground. They're not exaggerating. This describes their everyday world. More than 90% of Guizhou is covered by steep mountains and hills. There are almost no flat roads, level farmland, or simple routes between communities. The whole region looks like the ground was crumpled up like a sheet of paper. The scenery is breathtaking. Visitors often call it the Switzerland of China, thanks to the dramatic landscapes and deep cultural roots. But travel guides rarely mention the darker side. Those mountains aren't just scenic, they've been a barrier. For centuries, people in Guizhou stayed cut off from the rest of the country. Bringing in supplies was tough. Shipping goods out to sell was even tougher. Roads snaked around peaks for hours to cover short distances you could see in minutes. Picture spotting a village just 1 kilometer across a gorge, yet needing 2 hours of hazardous mountain driving to reach it. That was normal life. Families stayed separated by the terrain. Kids couldn't easily reach better schools nearby. Farmers struggled to get fresh produce to markets before it spoiled. Economic chances a short distance away felt completely out of reach. The mountains didn't just slow people down. They kept whole communities locked in hardship. The Chinese government saw millions trapped by this rugged geography in Guizhou and decided to act. 32,000 bridges. Here's a figure that really stands out: 32,000. That's the number of bridges built in Guizhou province alone. Not nationwide, just in this one region. These aren't small crossings over streams. Many are massive spans across deep valleys and gorges, letting traffic move in straight lines instead of endless switchbacks. Among all those bridges, one rises far above the rest, literally. This is the Huajiang Canyon Bridge, the highest bridge anywhere on Earth. Stand at the bottom of the canyon and look straight up. The roadway sits 625 meters overhead. For scale, that's like climbing China's tallest skyscraper just to reach the deck level. It's so elevated that clouds often drift below the traffic. The full structure stretches 2,890 meters across the canyon. Before it existed, crossing this gorge meant 2 hours on twisting mountain roads with dangerous curves and steep drops. Now it takes about 2 minutes. 2 hours reduced to 2 minutes. The mountain they removed. But the bridge is only half the tale. To grasp how determined the effort was, you have to look at the highway itself. The Huajiang Bridge sits along the Guizhou S57 expressway. This route runs 150 kilometers through some of the roughest land on Earth. And when I say through, I mean it literally. A massive solid mountain blocked the straight path, which would have forced the road into long detours. So China didn't detour around it. They went straight through. Engineers used heavy explosives and giant drills to cut a V-shaped passage right through the heart of the rock. They literally split the mountain in two. The highway now runs directly through the opening where the peak once stood unbroken. Consider the scale. Mountains form over millions of years. This one was divided in just months. The rock removed could fill thousands of Olympic-sized pools. The controlled blasts rattled nearby settlements. Every step was done with careful engineering to keep the remaining rock faces stable and secure. This expressway now links 14 districts across land that used to be nearly impossible to cross. And at the end of this route that slices through a divided mountain stands a bridge suspended 625 meters in the air, constructing the unthinkable. Planners surveyed the canyon for miles upstream and downstream to find the ideal spot. They needed solid bedrock to support towers weighing thousands of tons. They had to handle uneven canyon slopes, shifting wind flows, seismic activity, and many other factors. The finished design spans 2,890 meters total, with a main section of 1,420 meters. That's 1,420 meters of roadway suspended high in the air, supported only by cables. It uses a steel truss suspension system. The steel framework includes 93 separate truss segments totaling 22,000 tons. The Eiffel Tower weighs about 7,300 tons, so this bridge uses 3 times as much steel. The real difficulty? Assembling all that steel while hanging 625 meters above a rocky gorge. The world's largest land crane reaches around 250 meters. You'd need to stack 3 of them to match this height. Instead, China used an aerial cable crane system. Imagine a heavy steel cable stretched rim to rim across the canyon, acting like an overhead track in the sky. Workers hooked the giant truss pieces to a trolley that glided along this cable, delivering each multi-ton section precisely into place. Construction moved outward from the center for balance. Sections started in the middle, then grew symmetrically toward both ends. Teams relied on China's Beidou satellite navigation for pinpoint accuracy on every placement. Before any physical work began, engineers ran full virtual simulations of the entire build. This digital rehearsal helped spot issues early, so nothing was left to chance once lifting started. Every connection and weld was planned in detail. Battling the elements. The uneven canyon sides required support towers of different heights. The north tower reaches 262 meters, while the south stands at 205 meters. Anchor points for the cables were drilled deep into the slopes at varying angles and depths to match the irregular terrain. But mountains aren't static. They shift. Guizhou sits in an earthquake-prone zone. The heavy bridge deck hangs like a giant pendulum from its cables. During tremors, engineers added dampers at both ends to absorb motion and protect the structure. Then, there's wind. Canyon winds behave differently, speeding up and intensifying through the narrow space via the Venturi effect. Gusts here can match the force of speeding trains. Teams tested scale models in wind tunnels and used advanced Doppler LiDAR, laser systems that map 3-dimensional wind patterns in real time by tracking air particles. This helped them design for actual local conditions. Even after opening, monitoring continues non-stop. Fiber optic sensors woven into the cables stretch along with the steel. By sending light through them and analyzing reflections, engineers track exact tension and strain on every cable around the clock. The true purpose behind the 300 million and 3.5-year timeline. Since 2012, China has poured hundreds of billions into infrastructure across its most remote and underdeveloped areas. Officials describe it as their campaign against poverty. Guizhou was once among the poorest provinces. Today it's linked by modern highways, high-speed rail, and an international airport. The project also ties into China's broader Belt and Road vision, a global effort to build economic connections worldwide. China aims to prove its development approach delivers results. And that leads to the hidden goal of the Huajiang Bridge, turning it into a major visitor draw. This bridge wasn't created only for local residents. It was designed to attract tourists from everywhere. China hopes the Huajiang Canyon Bridge becomes a world-famous landmark. It includes a towering glass elevator rising nearly 800 meters inside one support tower, leading to a multi-level caf with stunning canyon views. A glass-bottom walkway beneath the deck lets visitors peer straight down 625 meters. There's even a man-made waterfall cascading across parts of the structure. But the ambition stretches further. Planners want it to host extreme sports events, with an existing bungee platform and future plans for base jumping contests and adventure facilities in the canyon below. The Huajiang Bridge showcases remarkable modern engineering, yet it also sends a clear signal globally. China is proving it can tackle any challenge to reach its objectives. They divided a mountain. They created the world's highest bridge. They finished it in 3.5 years. Huge sums go into projects that serve both practical needs and draw crowds. Bridges have evolved from simple crossings into attractions themselves. The world watches these achievements and increasingly books flights to experience them. China didn't just construct a bridge. They created a destination, and the plan is succeeding beautifully. I poured many hours into researching these massive projects, digging through specs and reports to bring you the real story. If this deep look impressed you, drop a like and comment where you're watching from. It really supports the channel and keeps me motivated to cover more amazing engineering feats worldwide. Thanks for joining me.